In fact, that's where we are going to start today, marking 66 years since that historic march to the Union buildings. Around 20,000 women demonstrating against apartheid pass laws.
Indeed, President Cyril Ramaphosa is scheduled to lead a commemoration of this day. Of course, we understand in Richmond in KwaZulu-Natal.
Our reporters Siphamandla, Goge and Slindelo Masikane are in Richmond with more on this story for us. Let's head down to both of them now. I think let's start with Slindelo Masikane, if we can, for the moment. Hello to you, Sli. So I see we have a security behind us. We have tents up already. Give us a sense of what the program is looking like for today. All right, Sli, I'm going to come back to you in a moment. Let's go to Siphamandla, Goge, see if you can hear me. Hello to you, Siphamandla. Perhaps you can start us off and tell us what the plan is for today, on such a significant day for all women in South Africa.
Absolutely. It should be a big day in South Africa whereby the whole country honors women for their role in ensuring that this country is liberated. It's a historic day, but unfortunately it comes at a time whereby women in South Africa are under siege. But before we get into the gist of the challenges that are facing women in the country, let me tell you that, the message of the day will come from the head of state. It will come from President Cyril Ramaphosa, who is expected to address those who would have gathered here in Richmond. Let's geographically locate ourselves. We are in Richmond, and Richmond is in the KwaZulu-Natal Midlands, and it's one of the areas that has been plagued by political violence for a very long time. In the late 80s, early 90s, women suffered a lot in this area, having to lose their loved ones, having to lose their children. But the modern day challenges include the issue of poverty, inequality, unemployment, and Richmond is basically rural, and issues of rural development here are at the center of what is happening in terms of challenges that are facing women. So we expect that President Cyril Ramaphosa will deliver the message today. His main address will center around issues and challenges that are facing women. Of course, he will have to highlight what the ANC-led government has done for women empowerment in terms of ensuring that they have access to opportunities. But I guess the biggest concern is no matter what you do, you can avail opportunities which are really not that much for women in South Africa. But if you cannot protect the most vulnerable members of the society, then you are as good as having not done anything for women in particular. Any country, any government that cannot protect its citizens would have failed. And in this case, in South Africa, women are under siege. They are being raped and killed by men, and President Cyril Ramaphosa considered that the issue of gender-based violence and femicide in the country has reached a crisis level. But the question is, what is being done about that? How do you address the situation? How do you make the environment safe and conducive for women to live their lives freely in South Africa, to make their choices and to determine their own future in terms of what they need to see happening in their country with their lives? But most importantly, if you cannot guarantee their safety, but mixed with that also there are no opportunities, they suffer a lot in terms of unemployment, they are still facing socio-economic challenges, they are the ones who are suffering the most in terms of what is happening in the country. So this day comes at a time whereby we should be celebrating the achievement of those who took to the streets, who took to union buildings to say enough is enough with oppression. They were fighting for a different cause at the time, but it's linked and intertwined with what is happening because women are not free as we speak. So in terms of the program, the Premier of KwaZulu-Natal, we expect that it will be the Premier nominee, Nomusa Dube, who will have to come and represent the provincial government of KwaZulu-Natal. She has not been elected yet. She still needs to go to the legislature processes whereby she will be nominated and formally elected by the members of the provincial legislature. But she will be representing the provincial government of KwaZulu-Natal. She's the leader of government businesses. She's the current finance MEC. And then there is, of course, the Minister of Arts, Sports and Culture, that is Natim Tetwa. And after those dignitaries, then President Cyril Ramaphosa will deliver the main address.
And Siphamandla, I'm going to come back to you in a moment. Let's head back down to Slindelo. Masikane still with us as well. Hopefully, Slee, you're able to hear me this time round as well. We saw your report when you were in Durban itself yesterday, and exactly to Siphamandla's point as well. We cannot continue to celebrate Women's Day in our country at the moment, knowing women are being attacked, raped and killed every single day. Never mind opportunities. It comes down to right now simply fighting for their lives, isn't it? Today's speech by the Premier nominee is going to be incredibly important, isn't it?
I mean, it's become incredibly difficult, Gareth, to try and celebrate Women's Day, Women's Month. Instead, what women are using this period for is to highlight many of the challenges that we're facing, safety being at the forefront of it. I mean, you've heard from Siphamandla in terms of the plight of women in this particular area, but women across the country don't feel safe, not only just walking on the streets, but in their own homes. And I think what we really are expecting today, Gareth, is some solutions, some answers. I think women are really tired of the constant talk shops around how we can tackle GBV. It's been labeled an epidemic by our own president. Women are essentially, under siege. And at this point, I think what we really want is to know what plans are going to be put in place. We always hear about how serious the situation is. The crime statistics themselves just show that over 13,000 women had reported sexual offences just in the first 3 months of this year. Murder, as well as other crimes against women and children are on the constant increase. We saw what happened in the West Rand just 2 weeks ago that sparked a lot of protests in that particular area over the past couple of days, where 8 women were essentially gang raped in broad daylight, Gareth. So I think it's very, very, very important that today we actually hear of the plans that are going to be in place. You had mentioned the story I did earlier on, speaking to a variety of women across Durban. For those who missed it, let's just take a listen to what women in South Africa have to say about how they feel being women in this country.
All right, Slee, we're going to bring that report once again to viewers a little bit later. It was just a short while ago we brought you that. We saw you talking to a woman along the boardwalk in Durban itself as well. I think I'm going to come back to Siphamandla Goge for the moment while our team gets that particular report that Slee is talking about ready. We might go to it in a moment or two. And Siphamandla, just help us understand as well, it's not just about a change of leadership for KZN politics as well, but with it being Women's Month, and we now have a female premier elect, a female premier nominee, Nomusa Dube-Ncube, coming in as well. Today's tone, especially from her, has to be about how she is going to protect women, not just in the province, but what she's going to be demanding from government and from the ANC to get on top of, and I'll use the word that Slindelo used, the scourge of GBV in our country. Today could be one of her most important speeches in her career.
Absolutely, this speech will go down in history for her simply because it's a milestone in KwaZulu-Natal to have the first female premier. She has not been formally elected yet. She has to be elected by the legislature of the KwaZulu-Natal, or should I say the provincial legislature in KwaZulu-Natal. So that process will just get underway tomorrow. We understand that there has to be a special sitting of the legislature tomorrow. Then it's expected that she will be nominated and elected. But as someone who will be coming in, KwaZulu-Natal is one of the provinces, by the way, that has faced the scourge of gender-based violence. The Umgungundlovu district where we are, according to one organization, in fact, if I'm not mistaken, their statistics, they were saying that about 500 to 600 cases a month of sexual violence are reported, or sexual abuse are reported. Of course, those statistics are not from the police, but in the past there has been an alarm that has been raised about what is happening in Umgungundlovu district, which Richmond area falls within or falls under. So Nomusa Dube-Ncube comes into this leadership position in KwaZulu-Natal as someone who has to highlight and do something about the plight of women in this province. You know, if you look at the statistics by the South African police, in the past you had one of the police stations in KwaZulu-Natal, Inanda police station, being regarded as the rape capital in South Africa. Every year when Police Minister General Bekicele releases crime statistics, you would find that cases of gender-based violence, cases of rape, sexual offences are always highlighted as those concerning in KwaZulu-Natal. So she will have to come in with a plan of how she is going to address the scourge of gender-based violence, working together with other stakeholders and law enforcement, because without providing the safe environment for women, it doesn't matter. If you look at the theme for this year, it says women's socio-economic rights and empowerment. Now, there is a right here to feel safe, the right to safety, the right to live your life without being harassed, the right to live your life without being raped. Women cannot even jog at night in South Africa because they will be violated. And you are also talking about their socio-economic rights that they have not enjoyed in terms of unemployment. Young women suffer a lot in South Africa. So those are the things that Nomusa Dube-Ncube, as she comes in, she will have to deal with, particularly in this province of KwaZulu-Natal. But that's a national picture. You go to the Northern Cape, you go to the Western Cape, Eastern Cape, across South Africa, women face similar challenges. And the most important thing right now is for the South African government and the South African society to ensure that women are safe. Let them be, let them live their lives without interfering with them. And that's something that, you know, the election of Nomusa Dube towards the end of this week will have to highlight, as KwaZulu-Natal will become one of the very few provinces, or should I say the only province, if I'm not mistaken, subject to correction, that will have a female premier and a female speaker. So you will have the executive being headed by a woman and also the legislature being headed by a woman. It's a milestone in the month of August. You know, that should be welcome. But let's take a listen to what Nomusa Dube-Ncube had to say about issues affecting women in KwaZulu-Natal and what will be her plan.
Right now, we are in the month of August, and I'm sure our leaders such as Abomama or Umcenge, Abomama or Dorothy Nyembe, Abomama Uwini, and many of our leaders where they are rejoicing that during this month, the ANC is the champion of non-racialism, non-sexism, is indeed ensuring that our women who are capable are given the responsibility to lead. And I humbly accept and wish to thank once more and commit really that we will not disappoint the people of KwaZulu-Natal.
We wait then to hear from the Premier nominee coming in, the Premier nomination coming in, Nomusa Dube-Ncube. Going to be a very important speech, as you say, Siphamandla. Going to be, as you were saying, up for correction, one of two female premiers in the country, the other being in the Free State, of course, Sisi Ntombela as well. But exactly to your point, Siphamandla, there are not many to name in the country, and that is exactly the point we're talking about this morning. Siphamandla Goge and Slindelo Masikane will come back to both of you a little bit later as we wait to hear the official speeches and recognition from government on this Women's Day here in South Africa.